Are you ready to learn from a girl boss agency owner who has basically really been in it when it comes to creating amazing support for a lot of software teams? This is the Scalable podcast, where every single season we bring on a ton of amazing experts in their field and talking to them about how they were able to start and grow themselves and their businesses. In season 1, we went through this with a lot of amazing entrepreneurs. Season 2 was about digital nomads. Season 3 was about people who had multiple businesses. And season 4, we had a ton of amazing authors. And right now on season 5, we're going to dive into and talk to a lot of fantastic agency owners on how they were able to start their business, grow it, and of course, scaling it further. So if you're ready to ditch the grind, let's go over and scale you. If you have no idea who I am, my name is Lacaba Morales. I am the co-founder and CEO of 2XU, where we hire, manage, and train executive assistants for a ton of our amazing clients. And I'm also someone who's really nosy and loves to dive into people's lives and businesses, which is why we have this podcast. Now, the person that we're going to meet today is the co-CEO and founder of Virtua Outsourcing Solutions, a people-first outsourcing agency supporting startups and SaaS companies across the US, Canada, EU, and Australia. Starting from freelancing roles in cold calling and customer support, she has spent over 11 years building and leading high-performing remote teams while helping businesses scale through better systems, processes, and operational excellence. A broadcast communication graduate from the University of the Philippines and a lifelong learner at heart, she brings a grounded human approach to leadership, balancing her role as a founder with being a hands-on mom and championing a vision of outsourcing that feels collaborative, values-driven, and deeply invested in client success. Hey guys, so please help me welcome our guest today, Penny. Hey Penny.
Hi, Lian. Happy to be here.
Super excited to have you. Before this, of course, we were having a little bit of a mini conversation about like agencies and all of that. However, I want to start, of course, with you. Tell me more about who Penny was before starting the business. What was that like, kind of getting to the point where you became an agency owner?
If we're talking about the history, I have a lot of skeletons in the closet. No, before I had an agency. Yeah, I think everyone has. They were just keeping them there. So before I had I actually have a business partner in this in Virtua. But before then, I was actually a freelancer. Before then, I was an account manager for a graphics design agency, and then an account manager for a U.S. company. But I treat it as a call center, but it's more an offshoring, not an outsourcing type of account. I was selling like promotional products. I was in sales, and then I dived into doing freelancing. So because my background was in sales, I did the cold calling, the appointment setting. Like I was doing all that, and then the thing that really changed for me, the contract that really changed for me was when I was hired as an executive assistant for a tech SaaS startup. So I was their 5th team member, and I was their first remote team member, first Filipino at that. And it changed for me because so I was doing lead generation and also lead generation, and when I say lead generation, research, and also trying to call these people to see if they're interested in doing a demo. And in one of the conversations that I've had with the COO, which was my direct supervisor, it's so weird because when you get into these startups, all of those supervisor, sir, man, it doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. But anyway, so in one conversation we had, I was looking at their support tickets, and I saw that no one was handling any of their support tickets. And so I told them, if you guys weren't going to handle it, I can take it on, since I'm already demoing the software anyway, so I already know. So that's how it started. And then I started their knowledge base articles. I started writing. So my background is in broadcast communication, so I do know how to write a little bit. Maybe not I do know how to write a little bit, but I guess I was more comfortable doing the documentation process part. So I started that for them, and then also started the hiring process for them. So even before the agency, I was running a remote team here in the Philippines. So we grew into, up until like a 15 headcount. I was really doing the performance management, the hiring, the letting go, all the hard stuff, the KPIs, like
All the
really,
business stuff. Yeah.
yeah, like that entire arm, the SaaS startup like really left it to me. It's fun to be with startup companies because it's like, so there was one time where there was the support ticket and he was looking for a supervisor, or it was trying to escalate the ticket because it was more on the development side, and I was talking to and because there were just what, 5 people, so I was directly talking to the CEO, COO, and CTO, and the CTO was saying, "What do you mean escalate? You're the head, Penny. You're it."
Escalate where? Yeah.
Yeah. So that's actually how it all started, and even Virtua started through that. We're very close with the onshore team, and I think that's also shaped how we kind of work with how we've kind of built Virtua. We're very close with the onshore team, and one of the customer success managers here, I hope you don't mind, I'm diving into like how it all now started. One of the customer success managers had an event with other customer success managers within the same DC startup community, and they were bragging about the team that we had because we really handled everything. And then I got an email. He referred me to Brandon Carroll, one of the CSMs, referred me actually to a different startup, and that's when it kind of started. I tapped Francis. Francis Gintu is my business partner. I tapped him because initially I wasn't really thinking of doing an agency, and Francis was more connected to the freelancing world back then. So I was thinking maybe an agency, and he was the one who kind of put the idea in our heads to start an agency, and so that's how it all happened for us.
Gotcha. It's always interesting that flip, because like I talk about it a lot when, of course, like a lot of people come to me like, oh, how can I start an agency? And the first thing that I always tell them is like, you have to first flip your mindset from employee to business owner, and that's not always the easiest transition. Like, have you heard or read of the book E-Myth? Like, it talks about like you have to switch your brain from technician, which is you doing the work, to business owner, to you managing the systems of the people doing the work. So it is a flip. So what was that like for you? Like, how easy or hard? And at that point, basically, since you were managing the Philippine team, you kind of already made that switch over. But like officially to you being the business or agency owner, what was that flip like for you? Of like, okay, me doing the work to managing the systems to do the work.
At the very start, because the remote team that I had in the Philippines wasn't a part of my agency. I was just really hiring for the client. So we didn't have an agency back then. And I say it's funny because in the first 2 years of doing this, because we were freelancers, everything was a side gig, right? Like if you're a freelancer, everything was just a project of yours. So after 2 years, and I think we were already at the, I think what headcount were we at? I think we were at 30 headcount. It was at that point where Francis and I talked to each other and said, so we have a company now? So it was like, I guess we have a company now, so we have to kind of really take this seriously. And this was at the very early stages. We were doing the hiring, the interviews, posting, and all that. We did start like hiring a VA for ourselves, especially on the resume screening part, because that was really it was one of those things that you don't really enjoy doing. You want to do the interviews, but not really the resume screening. But that was kind of the switch where, okay, it's a growing team, and it looks like we're getting more referrals, for us to help other owners or other startups, and that's when it kind of flipped for us. So when I say it flipped for us, it's when we started kind of really thinking about, okay, we can't do, if we want to expand this, we need to start building our team. Like I can't keep doing it myself.
Well, that was going to be my next question. Is like, what was that switch over? Because like, of course, like when we start, anytime anyone starts a business, like we're in survival mode. We're like, okay, I'm just trying to make sure we're chasing invoices, we're chasing this client, we're making sure that this closes. What was that switch over for you for like okay, now we're kind of getting out of survival mode. Now we're actually building. Now we're actually intentionally hiring people, not just hiring people out of necessity. We're intentionally like getting this kind of manager or this kind of skill set to the business. What was that switch up? Like basically we've switched from like freelancer to business owner, now for survivor, business owner, to now like, hey, we're actually growing and scaling and doing this a little bit more intentionally.
I think that started with us with hiring the leaders for each of the areas where we hired or hiring. Back then, she was only like a HR specialist. Now she's our hiring manager. Even our finance, we started doing that. The next one we started, actually we started first with the marketing team, to be completely honest, because so survival mode. Our version of survival mode is Penny and Francis building the website on their own.
Yeah,
using
I remember that myself. Yeah,
yeah. And now so the switch really is having the team that knows their area of expertise enough that you don't even know what they're talking about at some points of the conversation. You know the overview, but the nitty-gritty details, they're the ones who are experts at it. So that's really was the switch for us.
That's funny is like marketing is usually one of the first things that you hire for, mostly because then at a certain point it is just systems. It is like, hey, we're trying to just show up consistently. And yeah, like I said, I remember the building to excuse WordPress site from scratch. I'm like, oh, okay, we're now figuring this out. And now I don't think I've logged into the WordPress site in like forever because like the team now takes care of it, which is really great. So tell me more about that also, like your team, like on the people that you surround yourself with. Because like for me, I freaking love my team. I always talk about them constantly just because they are the people who are the expert at where they're at. And like for me, I gotta have the pleasure of being someone that they can support them essentially to like keep showing up. What is that for you, like when it comes to your team? Like you've talked about them a little bit of like, yeah, they're amazing what they do, but as you've been kind of building, I guess what are the really good highs of it so far? And like I know there's gonna be some lows and like there's gonna be like some skeletons basically that you got to the point where you're now confident about your team. What was that like for you?
So I'm really proud of this team because they're really not stagnant, and that's one of the things that I really look at when hiring is this someone, even though they're not like at that chief HR officer level yet, but there's that potential of getting there because they are just constantly learning. So that's the one thing that I really, really like about this team, and they're really open to feedback. That's also one of the things that I like about this team. On the flip side, of that, there is going to be a certain era, a certain stage in a agency startup, because we were a startup basically, right? A startup life where you are hiring people more for their belief in your vision, and so while they don't know, which I said, right, like they have a potential for growth and everything, but then they can only act on what they know, right? And so there will be mistakes, and that's fine. Like I it's like, to me, it's like lessons learned. As long as we don't repeat that, it's fine, right? Even and so there are going to be times where, especially on the legal compliance side, there was a time where, okay, why aren't we filing this report? And I was like, aren't you in charge of filing this report for VR? Because that's like, I will tell you straight up, the legal, the BIR, the SEC side is my weakest thing. I know finance, I know accounting, I am great with numbers, but if you talk to me about the government compliance side, that is my weakest. And it's also not the thing that I enjoy about building this business. And so I have, people who do that for me already. So when they say that, okay, we weren't able to file this, so there was a letter of audit and things like that, it was like, okay.
Yeah,
right, like yeah. So those are the little things that happen, but again, I didn't hire them. I hired them for their belief in this team, as well as their potential to grow even further. Actually, our finance right now is one of our finance team members is now going to go for her CPA. So I am I'm so excited for her. But yeah, it's managing the team where they are right now and where they could be.
I love
Yeah.
That's such a good mindset. And yeah, the Philippine government tracking, like that was one of the, I think that was the first thing that I outsourced. Like as an outsourcing company, I didn't outsource it to someone else who knows it better than I do. And I think that was way back in 2018 and then 2019. And of course the pandemic year was even more confusing when it came to like managing the Philippine papers and everything else. But it's part. I think it's probably the same for every other country out there. Like there's some sort of way to outsource it and give it to someone else who knows better, and also just making sure that that does keep happening and having knowledge of it. So we've talked about the team side. I want to dive into a little bit more on the client side. So since you kind of started that way in kind of the startup space in the US, and I know now you serve like different clients in different countries, what was that shift like for you on, I guess, narrowing down your target audience? Because like with the kind of service that you have, and I would love to dive into that more as well. I understand that there's referrals, and then of course there's like just social media outreach, and like there's that building likability and people knowing and trusting you. What was that like for you on the client end of like finding really good clients? As you know, in the outsourcing, there's really, really good clients that we hold on because they're a unicorn, and there's clients that we don't even want to think about because they give us like nightmares at the end of the day. So what was that like for you, that journey of like finding clients and like keeping them as well?
Yeah, so we grew through word of mouth in the last 7 to 8 years. We grew just through word of mouth, and so in the types of industries that we're serving, it became varied in a sense. But I would say about 80% of our clients were in the SaaS space or software space. They were not all of them were startups at this point. Not all of them are startups anymore, and it's because most of the startups that we were working with before got acquired or got merged, and that's when the flip happened. Well, that's when the switch happened for us, where we're now serving bigger companies, corporations, or global companies, or a brokerage is really, really big in the US, and it's a very different ball game between working with a startup and then working with a corporation that has hierarchies and processes and all that. And so there was this time in and I was managing that team. It was like for me it was like a trial by fire. Like let's see what's gonna happen. Let's just keep adapting to what they want and even make it better. Really, really thinking about that. And also I was looking at what other people were doing as well, that like what other agencies are doing as well, what other bigger BPOs were doing as well, like what type of services or value were they giving clients. And so because we were serving like bigger companies at this point, of course I need to be competitive, right? Like I need to be able to give the service that is at par or even better than what's out there. So I was not only looking at the services that we were going to give the customer through what we know, we like from what we've learned in our past experience, but also looking outside and seeing, okay, this might be a good idea. Okay, I don't quite like that. Maybe we could do it this way. That's a great thing about benchmarking is you can always look outside, but then you always have the decision on how you want to go about it. It's a very different ballgame because you have now switched to talking to the owner, the CEO, the COO, to kind of talking to managers who have hire people who are on the global scale, and sometimes you don't get to talk to that decision maker. And what I've learned so far in this journey is you always have to be able to reach that decision maker and not just the managers for the team.
Yeah, it's it. I can imagine that switch up as well of like, you're from directly knowing the person who literally started it all to just talking to the manager who's been there basically maybe sometimes even a little bit less time than you have been and trying to like get to the actual chain. Yeah. No, I have a friend his agency has been around for so long that he always says like, oh yeah, I've been through like 6 CEOs of that same company, and I'm still the service provider for them, and I'm like, wow. So it's a switch up, especially as a business owner. So for what it is that you guys do, what do you think is the main kind of I always say like business owners come to the world because there's a problem that they're solving. How would you define the problem that you guys are solving?
I would define the problem that we're solving for us. So before this session, right, we had this mini conversation about being nosy. So Francis and I would call ourselves the nosy divas. We've actually told the client this, right? Like we're nosy divas. And it's because we really like, I've also told the client before, the more that you tell me, the more that I can help you. Not just tell me about the support side, but really tell me what's happening with the marketing, because it's all going to trickle down to support anyway. So the more that you tell me, the more that I can strategize for you and act accordingly. So I think for me, the problem that we're solving, at least for the customers that we have right now, is really leveraging the talent that we have here in the Philippines and our understanding of business and their business to help them really grow and really, not even think about this, whatever we're doing for them, whether it's customer support, because we are now handling it. Like, you don't have to worry about it. We're not just, okay, tell me. We're not the type of agency where I need first response time for chat for 30 seconds and that's gonna be that. It's really a collaboration, a partnership of sorts of, tell me what your goals are this year and I will design it this way for you. That's the thing that we really, really want to do for our customers.
God, no, I love that because like, yeah, normally like, especially like in the thought of like BPOs or like, oh, you're only on this side of the company. You're only on like the managing the input basically that are coming in the company of like people who want to talk to us, people who have problems with the software, problems with the service essentially. But it is true, like you need to see kind of like what's upcoming, like what's the thing that we need to know, so then when it happens, we can support you guys the best or we can help you execute it better. So I love the nosy divas as well.
We have to
customers that. Especially like imagine for you, like since you did like all the way back to when you were in the startup company, building like the systems and documentation, you have to be nosy. You have to kind of know how this gear works and basically how it collaborates with this. Even though this is sales, this is marketing, they need to keep going and they need to know what the other is doing so they can support it. So it is a important thing, and it can be scary. I can imagine for a lot of business owners to give up a little bit of that, not really control, but that info of like, oh, this is how my business works. I'm not sure how like your support can do it. What has kind of been your favorite, I guess, breakthrough with the client, if you have any, when it came to working with them, of like, okay, now I understand what Penny does. Like, okay, now this is how you guys exactly can do this, and they loved you forever. What was that like for you?
I think one of the things that so when we started with this bigger company, it was they were kind of switching their support system from regional to national, and so it was in its infancy in where I was surprised that they were a bigger company, but they didn't have certain systems in place. So one system was the cascading of information. So because it's a bigger company, everyone's working remote. Developers aren't actually even in one place. The cascading of information of, okay, this week this is what we're testing. This is what's getting deployed in the system, and it doesn't even trickle down to support that way. And I was telling them, okay, we can't operate. Like, we can't support your people if we don't know what's happening. We can't even support your people if we don't know which area of the US this is happening with, because again, they're a bigger company. They're national, so they have regions. Like, they have offices in each state. Yeah. So when they do pre-testing of certain features for the software, they will do it in certain areas first, right? And so when someone sends a ticket and says, okay, this is happening, and then you as a support person don't even know what they're talking about, how do you expect to build confidence for that cost, like build confidence, for that customer to, okay, this person knows what they're talking about. It's really getting the frustration out. And so when I was talking to her about it, it's that started the cascading of just the emails first, emails first, because they were a bigger corporation. Like, I couldn't really get into their knowledge base. Someone was handling it for them, and so I was at that the mercy of that process, where someone had to change their process documentation before they could send it to us. There did also come a time where they would already put schedules on a calendar of, okay, we're pre-testing this, yada yada, and then also a Slack channel. So that was one of my favorite breakthroughs. That probably it's my favorite is because it was really in the early stages, and they're one of the bigger companies that we've started working with, where it kind of really also helped us, deliver our service to them.
True. No, that is one of the things that is really hard. Again, when you're like either when you're a startup or a bigger company, of like having that trust of like, okay, yeah, they actually need to know this. Yeah. Oh, yeah, they actually need to understand this so that they can talk to our customers in the best way. So I love that you're just slowly like, hey, we need this. Like, oh, we need this. Like, oh, now there's like a calendar that we can see, things are probably going to break here. So we need to make sure that the support team knows that things are going to break so that they know how to respond to it. So I love that. That's a really good way to also showcase the what it is that you do. So in going back to a little bit of just you, basically, as Penny, like, what has been your, as a business owner and also agency owner, what is your favorite thing about it? Like, what's the thing that gets you up to on the days that you don't want to get up? What is the thing that you remind yourself like, that this is what I like doing?
Okay, so if we're talking about just business, because I'm really passionate about business, not just the agency side, but if we're talking about business, there's a certain when we do this, we have a purpose for it, right? We have reasons to do it, and my thing is really because of my kids, right? I'm a solo parent, so I raise these kids. I mean, I have a support of my family, my parents, but the financial side, I'm it. Like, I am it. So that's my overarching thing, but waking up every day, I think when I think about doing business, it's hard. Business is hard. I'm not gonna sugarcoat that. It's just hard. But I think every single day I just find something to smile about, whether it's initiated by me, it's a joke initiated by me, a banter with my co-founder, or a banter with, actually, I think we find joy joking around with the team that we have, just so we can make work light. Like, as much as I demand quality from my team, they know that we can be light about it. And also it's fun. It's better. It's more fun to actually work that way. Isn't like you're not dreading to log into work because you actually like the people that you work with. That, and then sometimes these pockets of time where you just get surprise PMs from people where, hey boss, I put a deposit in a house, and it's because thank you for Virtua, because I wouldn't even think about doing this. And I've also gotten some PMs about they were able to buy an e-bike. That sort of thank yous really stick with me until this point. Like, I don't talk about it a lot often, but yeah, those PMs I cherish a lot.
That's so good. And like, I love you look at where the impact of your business has on yourself, which is being able to support your kids and like being able to be that. Also, I can imagine with being remote and like your work from home, you don't have to go to like an office every single day where you don't see your kids as much. To then the impact that it has on everyone else's families as well, the people that you work with.
True.
It's a shared feeling of like being able to take care of people as well. So as we go into that, like, if I've loved getting to know you and the business as well. Like, if we could and this is my favorite question on the podcast, is as AI comes out, as like science is getting better and better, people look younger and younger these days. And as all of that becomes better and better, if we were able to clone you, if we could put you in a machine and there's like multiple pennies and we can make 300 pennies around the world, what sort of impact or change do you think you want to create in the world? Like, what would that look like and mean to you? What would it mean to you as cheese it sells? What would it look like to you to actually scale you, Penny?
That's a really loaded question. Now, I've been thinking about it really, and way back, I had this thing about, I want to help people, but I want to help people who help themselves. Right? Like, and I want to give them options as to how they could help themselves, because I've seen people go into a direction where, because they think that's the only direction that they can take, like, especially in the that's the only direction that they could take. And I want to say that I want to build a world where people can help themselves have better lives. I think that's all. That's really all I want. Like, just for them to expand what they see in the world, expand their options of where they can go. Because I do think that everyone can do anything that they want as long as they're willing to learn it, really. And so I'm hoping if I could just multiply that and empower people to do that, I'm gonna be really happy. Like, yeah, I'm gonna really be happy if that was my legacy.
I love that. That's beautifully said as well. It's like, a lot of the time we see someone who obviously needs help, but they're not willing to either accept it, there's something else going on, and they just can't make that change. But then sometimes you are just talking something or listening to a podcast like this one, and then you have that spark every day, like, yeah, I want to change this part of myself now. That trickles over through the rest of that person's life. So that's a really good sentiment to have and to keep in mind. So thank you so much for sharing. Thank you so much for being on the podcast. I thanked you earlier for being one of the first guests for this season and booking it
Absolutely,
right away. Makes our lives a little bit easier as well. And it's been a pleasure getting to know you, the business behind the scenes of it. And if people want to get to know you more, connect with you, find you, how would people do that?
So I am consistently showing up everywhere. I've started doing that. You're actually one of my inspirations. So I don't know if you remember, but we've met through Flair, and I've seen you you have a book out now. Congratulations about that. Just a little plug there for you, but congratulations about your book. But you're one of my inspirations in showing up on socials. And so right now, my Facebook is, so you can reach me on my Facebook and also my LinkedIn. I'm also more on LinkedIn than on Facebook. And you can also visit our website, virtualsolutionsos.com. That's how you can reach me.
Thank you so much. All of those things are going to be in the description below. Of course, like I said, we'll keep promoting this episode just because it's a really good starter for a lot of people who are making that switch from freelancer to agency owner. So again, thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Thank you so much for making me a guest here. Like, I was really happy that I got your message, and I do hope all the best for you, Leanne.
And that is it basically for this episode with Penny. I hope you guys were able to get to know her, know more about her business. And of course, again, you guys can dive into and learn about her more in the links in the description. And of course, if you guys liked this episode, if you're watching this on YouTube, make sure to hit that like button right there and comment below who are other guests you guys want us to have on the podcast, or any other additional questions you want me to ask them. And if you haven't yet, make sure to hit the subscribe button right there so you don't miss any of the episodes for the Scalable podcast every Tuesday, where we are diving into different agencies and businesses. And feel free to go through the Scaling You playlist so you can catch up on other episodes as well. And I hope you guys have an amazing and fantastic day. And with that, small steps matters. And I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.